Hello everyone and welcome. This is your Business Morning. It's Wednesday, the 6th of March. I am Bosun Amafai. Let's get today's show started. Nigeria hit the brakes on textile importations. The authorities yesterday made major announcement for that industry, and that's the biggest economic story, at least from the central bank, since the re-election of President Buhari. The central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele, unveiled what you called unveiled a package for the textile industry. This was Godwin Emefiele and his team's first major business meeting, outlining what the new direction for Nigeria's textile sector will be. So, what's in the package? Just give you a summary of that. We'll take a bit of a soundbite from the governor in a few minutes from now. But what's in the package for the textiles stakeholders who had a meeting on Tuesday with the central bank governor? Immediate freeze on foreign exchange sales by banks and other authorized dealers to textiles goods importers, number one. Number two, a single-digit credit support for textile manufacturers, those who have textiles companies in Nigeria. Number three, the central bank also promised support for local cotton growers. That's in the package. Number four, the creation of textile industrial areas to tackle power issues. According to the central bank governor, those companies in the textile business are now encouraged to come together so that they would resolve the problem of electricity. And the central bank governor says discussions already ongoing with Kano and Kaduna states in that regard to create what they call textile industrial zones. Meantime, the initial allowance for those in the textile industry is for the importation of cotton lint, which will continue by the central bank chief says, of course, will be done until next year, with effect of 2020. That window will be closed for those who still need cotton lint for their production in the textiles industry. That's a bit of the package that we have. Of course, that's the big story, the first major story from the central bank since President Buhari's re-election, hitting the ground running in the new year 2019. That's the first business news, the big one there. Okay, let's move on. What's the story? Of course, a number of guys, some guys in the petroleum marketing sector has been cheating on the NNPC, that's Nigeria State Oil Corporation. So, the State Oil Agency says it has recovered about 771 million naira in assets from petrol products retailers. According to Udu Gamadu, who is the media chief for the NNPC, he says the anti-corruption team of the NNPC and the EFCC work together to secure the recovery of these assets. According to Mr. Gamadu, the bulk of this was folks who were cheating on the Kaduna depot of the PPMC, that's the Petroleum Products Marketing Company, a subsidiary of the NNPC. What was recovered, according to the NNPC, was recovered include petrol stations, water factories, sports utility vehicles, and so on. But in total, that came to about 771 million naira. That's according to the NNPC there. Put that in your box, and then we'll talk about Seplat, Nigeria's only EMP company listed both in Lagos and London stock exchanges. 8:30 this morning, Seplat reported its 2018 full-year numbers. Austin Avuru, the CEO at Seplat, says the earnings was an excellent performance, which will result in a robust profitability, which will help the company have what it calls a solid foundation for growth in the coming years. That's a very brief statement as Seplat this morning held what you call a conference call and released its numbers to both London and Lagos Stock Exchange. What are the numbers? Let's give you the fast facts, as it were, as far as the Seplat is concerned. Here it goes. Okay, so you have the headline revenue in at $746 million US. That's 65% up on 2017 numbers. Operating profit, $310 million US, 84% year on year. Profit before deferred taxation, $238 million US, a whopping 480% growth. Net profit, however, fell 45% to $147 million US. Basic earnings per share, that's 26 American cents. That's also down 45%. Realized oil price for the accounting year finished December 2018, 39% up, per barrel, and the realized gas price, $2.94 per cubic feet, just down 1%. That's the headline. That's the highlight of the Seplat numbers there for you. Meantime, the Nigerian Stock Exchange tomorrow will admit about 5.37 billion naira Eurobonds of the Nigerian government. This will bring the total of Nigeria's Eurobond on the Nigerian Stock Exchange to 8. The stock exchange will admit those Eurobonds, 5.37 billion in naira, under the new federal government's global medium-term note program. That's going to be one big of a ceremony tomorrow there on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. We're on top of that for you. Meantime, if you're in the news, you already know that the corporate wedlock planned between Access and Access and Diamond Bank crossed the line with the shareholders' approval. Majority shareholders approve the corporate wedlock, which is expected to end by the end of March. So how did the voting go? Diamond shareholders voted 99.98% or 15.1 billion shares in favor. For Access, that was 97.89%, so that's a whopping success. Meantime, Access says it's looking to recover 120 billion naira non-performing loans in Diamond Bank. All that is a big story, and it's a big day. Wednesday, the third trading day. Temple Ashaju is live to us from our studios at the Nigerian Stock Exchange. First is giving us where we finished off on Tuesday. Stock market was down about 0.14%. But again, it's still a very positive Tuesday trading day. Temple, take it from here. Good morning.
Really positive, 0.14% yesterday. We actually added some good points yesterday. We saw some 16.31 billion naira added to the equity capitalization. And of course, that brought us back to some 32,000 psychological line in terms of the key benchmark index. Yesterday, it eventually expanded to some 2.36%, while the month-to-date performance expanded to some 1.43%. That was something really positive for the market. Activity level was also positive. We saw some 75% rise in the volume of the transaction we saw yesterday. Volume of the units of shares traded at 400.86 million and valued at 3.46 billion naira, which is an expansion of 32.49%. The market breadth was a bit battered. We had 14 gainers against 17 losers. MC Nichols, on account of its earnings declared to investors, is still driving gains in that sector and was the top gainer yesterday, up some 7.14%. While on the other hand, you had Red Star PLC down some 9.09%. Diamond, on account of the successful extraordinary general meeting yesterday that held, pushed that in company up to the top traded security yesterday in the market. 119 million units of its shares traded yesterday for 299 million naira. In terms of the sectoral analysis, there you got the banking sector, very positive. All the major banking names there did well. Wema Bank, Guaranty Trust Bank, Zenith Bank, Access Bank, all ended positive yesterday and pushed up the indices 0.92%. While consumer goods segment of the market, driven by gains we saw in Dangote flour, Honeywell flour, as well as Dangote sugar, and Nascon as well, that gained so much in early trades, were able to push up the indices. Industrial goods segments was down yesterday because Dangote Cement shed some 51 basis points, and of course insurance segment of the market was also negative, so we had some 0.27%. Oil and gas was negative, given the losses that we saw across the Japol counter, Keverton PLC, and of course O&O that lost some 0.87%. And if you look at the energy segment of the market, we didn't really have much movement there. It was all negative for O&O, and of course Japol, and a whole lot of other securities there remain unchanged. If we move on to the unlisted securities market, represented here by NASDOCC, was a negative outing by some 0.56%, had a USI of 742.21 points rather. Market capitalization trimmed a bit more to some 533 billion naira, but we saw some 5.6 million units of shares traded yesterday. In terms of the fixed income market, proceedings in bonds yesterday was a kind of bearish. It was a bit mixed though, but more bearish. We saw average yield widening some 20 basis points to 14.20%. Sell-offs on the June 2019 security, and of course the 23rd of February 2028 security, which expanded by some 34 basis points. While Treasury bills also saw the same thing on account of some 169 billion naira open market operations auction that the central bank conducted yesterday, thereby leaving some kind of average yield of 21 basis points increments to 13.30%. Bosun.
Tempo, thank you so much. The big stories from your market street today. On the equity side, of course, Tempo will be Seplat numbers that came in about 8:30, just about 2 hours ago. Of course, we're on top of that. Then we'll talk about the access in Diamond Bank. What's that? The early moves now that we have crossing the T's and getting the shareholders a fingerprint on, or signature, as it were, on that corporate merger. And of course, Nestle is reporting its numbers to the market as well. A very interesting story later. Tempo, thank you so much. Let's talk about that on the final lap of the program.